I really want to play Wingspan again.
Dude, so do I. I feel like it's like the board game equivalent of hate watching something.
Yeah. Or making a podcast about a book you didn't like.
Not that we would ever do that.
I didn't dislike it.
Valor?
Yeah.
What about the ice schooner?
I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, I don't really have that many talking points.
Let's jump into it.
Okay.
We're rusty, man.
I feel so rusty. I also haven't talked to anyone today.
Oh, I've all I do is talk to people. I did another podcast yesterday, man. I'm on my game.
Y'all are ripping. So, welcome back. This is Book 2 is Better.
Fuck off. That's the worst intro ever.
Oh, fuck you.
Welcome back, fans. This is Book 2 is Better. Avery and Trav.
I'm gonna put in a shit ton of air horns and bombs.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
We're on a hiatus because the last book that we read, Travis hated so much, they stopped reading.
I did. It kind of put me in a fugue for about 2 weeks.
So if you didn't listen to that episode and you want to hear us discuss a book that almost killed the joy of reading, go check that one out, The Ice Schooner.
Yeah, I had vivid nightmares about just land whales and ice ships coming for me in the middle of the night.
Whale steak,
man.
That book, I think more and more fondly of it every day.
I mean, the fun part is, and also I think the baseline for this podcast at a more meta level is like, we're going to have a memory of the ice schooner together for the rest of our lives till our deathbeds.
I'll forget the names of my family before I forget the name of Conrad Arflane.
Oh, Conrad, always in our hearts.
God, love him. But we're back and we finished Valor. I think we're going to try to discuss it as though we didn't finish Valor, but we did. So
yeah, we decided to go to Costa Rica together. That's really what the hiatus was all about.
Yeah, that was a big issue. In addition to the ice schooner, was taking a long vacation together.
And we had some pressing needs like playing Wingspan. That really were just far more important than the podcast.
Wingspan, cockroach poker. I've been grinding my way through a fantasy porn book, A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Oh, Akatar. Yeah, there's 2 copies in my household now.
It's a tough read, folks.
But outside of all the other content that we're talking about that isn't the episode that we're filming, we did read Valor.
Yeah, we did read Valor. Book 2, which is huge. It's our first Book 2 on Book 2 is Better.
Can you imagine if we started a podcast called Book 2 is Better and never made it past the first book?
We were on that path for a little while during the hiatus.
It was dark.
Yeah. But we made it. Do you have any prefatory thoughts before we get into this?
Storm, still cool.
Storm's kill count is getting really high.
Yeah. The John Wick, you might say, of this story.
Yeah. I guess I'm fine with it, but it is just sort of turning into a weapon of mass destruction.
It's one of those things where I feel like he wrote it in as such an integral plot point, and he just couldn't bear to get away from it. He was like, if you go all the way back to the beginning of Malice and they're talking about Wolven, like they killed dozens of Wolven in this general story. Like they are dead all over the place. They're like annoying wolves, but very, very mortal. So the fact that this one is just pillaging the countryside is actually kind of jumps the shark a little bit.
Armed conflict, not just like sneaking up and picking people off.
It's like taking down giants single-handedly. It's getting wild.
Yeah. It's also this is one of John Gwynne's new tricks. We discussed this previously. He is really into entrails in Book 2 in a way that he wasn't in Book 1. A lot of people getting disemboweled, a lot of people's slimy guts spilling out. My cat is screaming.
A lot of like slippery guts.
Yeah, well, which is
slippery,
nice.
Slippery guts.
John is he's expanding his repertoire. He he's mixing up the formula a little bit.
Yeah. One thing that hasn't changed about the formula is 4,300 characters and 26 POVs.
I thought that it was like just as hard to start this book as it was to start book one. I mean, maybe not just as hard, but like I thought I would sort of slip right into it. Yeah. And then we got new POVs and people that we had to care about that we didn't have to care about previously. And it was somewhat challenging.
You can kind of tell from like the first page what the vibe's going to be like for a little bit, because you don't do a time skip. It's like seconds after the end of Malice. Yeah. But also it's a brand new character. And so you're like, okay, we've really shifted this up.
Yeah. We get the whole like Uthis squad up in land of Benoth.
Who are a bunch of douchebags.
A bunch of confused douchebags who don't seem to know what's going on. But
yes,
that would probably be me if I ran this story.
That's true.
And things that haven't changed. I would say the sort of casual attitude towards violence and death continues to be something with no consequences or no real effects on anyone's psyche. So,
there is like a little PTSD in this book. I think after the 43rd Forest skirmish, Dath has a little bit of a, am I built for this? And then he murders like 43 people.
Yeah, you just got to push through.
But no, not a lot of second thoughts.
No. And we'll cover this when we start actually breaking down what happened. But even the good guys are so comfortable with the spilling of blood. I guess on the one hand, this is sort of like a cozy feel-good fantasy story with like lovable people, but they are also like all murderers, like mass murderers.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those stories, right, where like you can actually root for the protagonist and his like merry band of friends. Like they're pretty unequivocally the good guys at this point in the story, but at the same time, there's like a wake of devastation and destruction. There's one scene that I'm sure we'll talk about that I'm excited to. Yeah, where they kind of reverse the trolley problem from what you'd expect, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah, what if we back the trolley up and send it down the other path?
What if we drift the trolley across both tracks? Yeah, but we're starting a little negative on the take. I enjoyed it.
Negative. Yeah, we liked this book.
It was good. It didn't have like a slump. Like there was a lot of action. I think there's like that tendency sometimes in book twos at least to say like, okay, we had an action-packed intro, let's back it up and do like world building for 6 hours. And it certainly didn't really do that.
No middle book syndrome. I saw one review on Goodreads. It was a very glowing review. They said that by their count, half of the pages were action scenes, which I would say is maybe too much, but it was certainly busy.
It was busy.
Okay. Let's get into this summary and then we can start ripping.
We'll start some content.
So probably should have said this up top, but today we are covering chapters 1 through 31 of Valor, roughly the first 200 pages. So Valor opens shortly after the sack of Dunkerque that ended Malice. The giant Uthis speaks with Nemain, queen of the Benothi giants. They discuss resistance from the neighboring kingdom of Domain, and a prophet says the Black Sun is coming for the cauldron. Uthis and a small band of giants are dispatched to investigate Domain. Cohen, unlike Castell, is not dead. She's the only member of the family still in Dunkerque, except for the noble hound, Bodai. She knows her dad died in the attack, but she doesn't know where Corbin and her mother went. She's eventually brought in to speak with Nether, and Nether uses his new mind control trick to coax information out of her. She pulls the Cohen special and tries to kill Evnis. You go, girl. Cohen goes back to the secret tunnel and finds a secret tunnel in her secret tunnel.
Secret tunnel.
There we go. Turns out that Pendathrin isn't dead. He's being held prisoner by Evnis for some reason. She helps him escape and poisons a bunch of Rafe's hounds in the process. Not sure how I feel about that. Speaking of Evnis finds out that his Book of the Earth Power was stolen during the sack of Dunkerque by Vaughn for some reason. So now Team Corbin has the nuclear football. We pick up Veritas outside the giant city where Jael murdered Castell at the end of Malice. Not that Veritas knows that. Veritas has some questions for Calidus about why Jael survived and Castell and McCann did not. but not before Veritas gets roped into murdering a bunch of giant younglings. Veritas reconvenes with Nether, and Nether intimates that Veritas might have to go kill his dad for not cooperating with the Vinthalan trash pirates. We also get some information about the treasures. We learn that 1, the treasures get more powerful when you bring them together. 2, the cauldron is a bridge to the other world, all one word. And 3, the cauldron can only be destroyed if all the treasures are joined. Corbin and his ragtag band are on the run from Dunkerque. We finally get Halion's backstory. Turns out he is the bastard son of the King of Domain, and he fled to Arden after the king's wife started killing off his bastards to secure her son's claim to the throne. Gar and Corbin's mom decide to have the talk with Corbin, i.e. when a god and another god hate each other very much, they choose avatars to fight in a god war. Gar and his mom want Corbin to leave immediately for the mythical city of Drasil, but Corbin says he won't leave the homies behind. Corbin has a bunch of misadventures on his way to Domain, including committing a string of senseless murders in order to steal horses for the boys. Camlin reassures him that the ends justify the means, so I'm cool with it. Because Castell is for real dead, McKen gets called up from the bench to become a main character. He and Orgul, one of his giant fighting buddies, are on the run from jail. We learn that Orgul was recruited into the God War Army Reserves by Big Mike. Orgul and McKen sneak into Jail's camp to tell Braster, king of Helveth, about Jail's betrayal. Sadly, Braster is killed by his battle chief, and McKen and Orgul are back on the run. They eventually run into Veritas and tell him the truth about Jail and Castell. Good guy Veritas lets them escape, thank God. McKen eventually reaches Dunkellen just before Jail arrives and kills the Lord of Dunkellen. Lycos, piece of human garbage, is in Tenebral overseeing the construction of a new fleet of ships for Nether. He squabbles with Nether's mother, Fidel, who is very prudish about the Vinthalan slave fighting pits. Let the boys have a little fun in wartime. Finally, we are introduced to a new POV character, Coralyn, who is a member of Wrath's warband and Domain. Is she just Cohen 2.0? Yes, but I still like her. All right, there you go.
It's beautiful.
So, is this like is this book like the fantasy version of Mad Max, where it's just like a 600-page chase scene?
It really was. Like, I kept waiting for them to arrive somewhere, and they actually don't ever.
Never.
Like, the previewing 600 pages here, like, they don't ever arrive anywhere. Which is fascinating. Like, what a way to write a book. It must have felt so frantic to write this.
Yeah, just people panicked and on the run and not sleeping or eating for 600 pages.
Right, and there's just like always somebody chasing them. And what are the motivations for chasing them? They're not always that clear.
Yeah, somebody being the operative word there, because you can sort of piece together like who is likely on Team Corbin's trail, just like based where they are on the map, but you don't know for sure, and that like really rubbed me during this section. It's like they're exciting scenes, and like, you know, John Gwynne is still John Gwynning, and you know the fight scenes are fun and all that, but it's like what are the fucking stakes? He's just chased by like unnamed soldier 5 like over and over and over. And
you know what comp it brought up in my mind while I was reading it was, you know, if I think about like the other great chase plot, it's Lord of the Rings, obviously.
Yeah.
Where, you know, they're never really settling. They're always on the move. But in terms of the stakes of their pursuers, it's like the Black Riders or, you know, the super orcs and stuff. Like, it's actually, I don't know, there's a little bit more character to the pursuers. Like, there's a bit more gravitas or like personality associated with them.
And there's something odd too about, we were talking about this in the intro, but like, there's just sort of casual attitude towards violence. Like, Corbin is nobody, and he's got this like ragtag crew. And every time they see another human, it's like if you introduce 2 cats that don't know each other, and they're like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you." It's like, why? They don't know who you are. You don't know who they are. Why are you killing each other? Like this.
Bro, the idea of parlay does not exist.
No conversations. Just immediately like storm, go fucking disembowel these people.
Yeah. Even when fucking Jael goes to the castle, he just spears a guy in the throat.
Jael is like, I think, first pick in the NFL draft right now.
The javelin Olympic medalist.
50 yards.
It's wild. Yeah. I mean, the plot synopsis brought up a few interesting things for me having, I haven't read the book in a few weeks now.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about the Pendarthan
Yeah.
plot.
Pendathrin.
I got it wrong twice. And it brought up some feelings of loss. I miss Castle.
No, really?
I do.
Do you feel bad that we joked over and over about Castell being dead because we thought he wasn't dead?
Yeah, I feel bad because he actually is, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, he really is dead.
You don't know what you've got till it's gone, you know?
I mean, you said some pretty hateful things about him.
I know, I feel terrible.
What do you, I guess we should just get into it now.
Sure.
What do you think about that choice? Because he was among our sort of top 4 POVs in the first book, and then he's done. Do you think that worked for you, or was it like, why do we spend all these pages getting to know this guy if he's not here anymore?
It's an interesting question. Like, I think it worked in the sense that it did add some stakes to the action and the plot, right? Like, oh, the characters can actually die. They're not always going to get out of the, precarious position that they're in. They're always outnumbered, but somehow everybody escapes without any consequence. So it did open that can of worms a little bit to say, obviously the end of book 1 had some pretty big deaths, just in general, with like Corbin's dad, although he wasn't a really fleshed out character. But kind of throughout book 2, like, death is a real possibility. They definitely survive way more than they should, but like, there's a lot of characters that, are that take up a bunch of pages that are no longer there by the end of the book. Yeah.
I mean, I do wonder though, like, could you have done the same thing where if you just had like Jael killed McCann instead, and then, we have a relationship with Castell and he goes on a similar sort of journey for revenge?
I think it's a coin flip for those two characters, but I personally kind of prefer the crusty old guy.
Yeah, McCann is great. I think is the takeaway though. He's like definitely one of my favorites, and I am glad he's like a main character now.
I saw a review online that described him as the Spartacus of the book. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, that's good. Well, there's so much more McCann to discuss.
Oh yeah, and he plays. I feel like his role gets bigger and bigger throughout the book, so he'll have his moment.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess we can start with Corbin. I don't know that there's too much to talk about that we haven't already, but
yeah,
there's not too much progress towards anything definite other than they are, by the end of the section, they're still just continuing to move to Domain, which is where we pick them up.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of, at least framing like what they're doing this entire time, right? They get on the boat to escape after the big battle with Nathair's, betrayal and yada yada. And then they basically run into the fleet that they're trying to avoid, have to ditch it on land. And then, they're spotted by like one unknown quantity of boat full of soldiers.
Yeah.
That decides to track them down in the woods.
Yeah.
And then somehow just replicates itself in size for weeks at a time and chases a bunch of people that they don't know.
Yeah. In this seemingly unpeopled continent where only like 400 people live, they do continue to run into people in the wild at the time, but
everywhere.
We get some. I feel like John Gwynne retconned his own book, because later on he has like a throwaway line where Rin is like, "Oh, by the way, I sent some dudes out to look for Corbin."
Right. But not knowing it was the fucking Navy SEALs who never give up and march at night.
Yeah. We haven't received any word to not continue searching for them. So, anyways,
can you imagine? You're just some lowly bumfuck soldier that got sent on the side quest from the fleet, and this wolf is just ripping y'all to shreds. They're like archers popping out of the trees, and you're just like, hey, you know what? That queen we've never met might really want us to keep doing this. We couldn't just say, oh no, we lost them in the woods.
And she definitely didn't give them the full picture either. There's no way she's like, we think he's the Black Star and you need to go find him. She's definitely like,
they never knew who they were. They were just some dudes on the beach that they wanted to follow.
Yeah.
But I guess a few kind of pivotal things in that, they have more of a conversation about the fact that he's the chosen one. So Gar and Mama sit him down for that birds and the bees and the chosen one chat, as you called it.
Speaking of Gar and Mama. I got some
Gar Mama got it going on.
questions. Got some questions about them.
Gar's a hound dog.
He really is. Her husband is still warm. Budai is like standing over his dead body while fucking Gar is trying to get it in with Corbin's mom.
Yeah, really, this is like Gar's time to shine. He doesn't have to pretend to be like a limpy, gimpy stable hand anymore.
Yeah, Gar fucking rules though.
Big Daddy Gar. He's the Pedro Pascal of the group.
Oh, you think?
Yeah,
he's a protector. So yeah, I guess while we have Gar too, we meet Gar's dad in this section. That's pretty big. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. I mean, so the 100 is legit.
Very sick. Yeah. So we do get to sort of like tie off that loose end of what happened to the Jahar who left. Yeah, they left with Big Mike back in the day. And they seem to have the the right idea here by following Not Nathair. So we get to see Drasil, which is, we're going to complain about this at some point, these sort of lack of distinctive visuals in this world. But Drasil, very cool. I know this is like a Norse mythology thing, but like the epic World Tree Elden Ring thing was very, very cool.
Yeah, and I think just the idea of the cast of Korea's Physical 100 sitting around for 30 years in this legendary tree city and just training for like the God War. Like, imagine how buff all these people are.
Yeah, they're fucking ready.
They have the power of God and anime on their side.
Rebecca, it's not what you think. I won't hesitate, bitch.
We also get I think, and this is not confirmed, I think they have one of the treasures in Drasil.
I think it's the spear, right?
Yeah, because it's like Big Mike mentions it in passing when he's talking to Gar's dad, to Cole. And he says, like, do you have the spear? Is it safe? And he says, yeah. So I figure they have to be talking about like the capital S spear treasure thing. So
yeah. And we also kind of get the full confirmation that McCall is a BFD.
He is a BFD. Are we both? I think that in the in book one, you thought he was Jahar, and I thought he was Ben Alim. Is he both? He's not a Jahar, but
I don't think he's a Jahar.
He feels like their leader.
Yeah, but he's just like a coalition leader as well, because you kind of get all these little secret troops that have pledged themselves to McCall in the event of disaster, basically. And funny enough, that's who Calidus has been going through murdering, quite conveniently along the way through their merry band of adventurers.
Yeah, that is sort of interesting. It's something that I didn't expect. We talked about this in Malice, that I was sort of expecting like a series of reveals where everyone is Ben Alim. I think there are only the two. I think there's just Calidus and Big Mike, and then the rest are on the other side of, they're in the other world, right?
That seems to be the case so far. I think we'll see with the third book, but yeah, certainly there's nobody really popping out of the woodwork in Valor that has like supernatural powers besides those two. You get that little bit of, part of the plot of Corbin running through the woods is learning some of the giant magic and like learning how to make fire out of his brain. And is it Brina and who's the guy again?
Heb.
Oh, good old Heb.
I love Heb.
Which is interesting. So let's dive in, because I know from book one we were excited and hopeful that book two would really dive into the magic system a little bit more. What do we learn about it in this first section?
Well, I think we were wrong about it being the magic system from The Last Airbender.
Which I'm upset about. Yeah,
which I am upset about. I think that earth power is just like the name of the system overall. It's not like there's earth power and fire power and water power. So super lame, missed opportunity from John Gwynne. But maybe if we get a second edition of these books, he can fix that.
Yeah, let's get some blood bending in here. Let's get some core.
Yeah, oh my God, dark turns. But yeah, so because Vaughn steals his dad's Book of the Earth Power, ends up with Brina and Heb, and they start giving Corbin and thus us some lessons in the Earth Power. And it's pretty squishy. This is not like a Sanderson system, right? This is you speak and will things into existence, and then they will be, and you have to speak giantish at the same time.
Yeah, it kind of left me a little bit disappointed. Like, I'm interested to see where they take it.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful that like some mastery will take it to the next level. I'm sure there's some cool things that you can do with combo magic or something like that. But just like really believing in it is, it's like you didn't believe enough. Oh man, I wanted it to be a little bit more. But also, can we point out the major L that Evnus has taken in this section? He left the secret book of giant tongue spell magic out on his desk for his disgruntled son to steal. And we also found out he just leaves the powerful secret necklace on a coffin.
Yeah. For the guy who's supposed to be sort of the crafty climber, he's fucking up so hard. It's funny because his son steals the book, not knowing what it is or even why. He's just like, my dad likes this. Fuck him. I'm going to take this book. And then
it's so great. The downfall of the bad guys because Evnus cockblocked his son.
I feel like that is sort of appropriate for this world, though. It's just like your downfall is your jilted relationship with your family.
Yeah, I mean that's most of the betrayal in this. Yeah.
And yeah, the necklace thing that makes no sense to me because so in the secret tunnel there's a coffin, a giant coffin, and a necklace inside it. We know that one of the treasures is a necklace, and Evnus sees it and is like, I wonder what's up with that necklace. Maybe it's a treasure. Anyways, on with my day.
Yeah, it's guarded by dragon worms. Still not convinced they're not dragons, but
oh, okay. Let's deal with this. Okay.
No, they're okay. They're worms. They're like little slippery snakes from Dune. It's okay.
Yeah. This debate was put to rest on book 1 when a worm is described as a snake. So chalk one up for old Avery.
I'm gonna start calling them wingless dragons.
I was reading another book and they have worms as well.
Yeah, I think because of the kind of Norse background for a lot of this.
Yeah.
Like worms were quite popular in Norse mythology.
Those old Germanic dragons. And another one that I hadn't seen in this book, but I saw elsewhere is Glamour with a U.
Yes, the hidden veil over a secret passage.
Yeah, turns out that's the thing they use in other books. So there's our expertise really showing through. So
pretty cool. Yeah. Anything else for Corbin? Okay, so Storm rips a bunch of people apart.
Yeah,
it's generally a badass.
They have some sort of felony murder situation. They're committing a horse theft.
They're like, okay, they sneak up on a camp in the middle of the night. Everybody's inside by the warm hearth of the fire.
They're eating guacamole and
out of their trenchers.
Yeah, they're eating a trencher of guacamole.
And they could have just taken all the horses from outside and rode off with them, and instead they just murder every living human.
They also could have. It seemed to me that they could have just killed like one guy.
Yeah.
Or like bonked him on the head.
Yeah, I think there was like one guard in the tent and then a whole system of other tents, and they just wreak havoc.
Or you could just go up to him and be like, I'm going to kill you if you don't let me steal these horses. Shut the fuck up until we leave. But no, they're like, we need to kill him and then go inside and kill everyone else and then burn their bodies and then email their families and tell them that their families are dead.
I think a lot of authors overestimate the level of bravery of the average man in society. Like the average man in society, when confronted by 10 armed bandits in the woods at night and a wolf, would be like, take my credit card, like call my bank, do whatever you want.
Especially because the person guarding it, it's like not even his horses.
Yeah.
It'd be like if you tried to like steal something from like your workplace. You were guarding your workplace's stuff.
Right.
Like, yeah, you can fucking take my work laptop. Like I really don't care.
Yeah, just a day off for me.
Yeah, dude. I don't have to guard these horses anymore. If you steal them, please do.
Yeah, so that part was a little silly. But we do get, so outside of the just wholesale murder of innocent soldiers who they fought alongside like a week earlier, by the way, which is kind of funny. We get some cool training montages with Gar. and Corbin. Everybody's kind of like, maybe this guy is the chosen one. He looks pretty good with a sword. From the descriptions, it sounds like he's turning into a bit of a hunk.
He is turning into a bit of a hunk. It's unfortunate.
Yeah,
I miss young Corbin, but now
you wanted big dumb Braden.
Oh my God, no, Braden. For the listener, Braden is my big dumb son that I'm going to have one day, who is nothing like me and will be able to like pick me up when he's 14.
It's Farrell, basically.
It's Farrell. Farrell is definitely a Braden. Yeah, he's got the big hammer. Oh man, should we? No, let's not get into romance stuff. That's a section 2. That's
section 2. Yeah, section 2 gets a little spicier for the listener.
It really does.
So that's pretty much that POV, though.
Huh?
I think that's that POV.
Yeah, I think Corbin's stuff's covered. Let's cover next my boy, Veritas, who I think was my favorite in this book. I've got to say.
Veritas was pretty sick.
I like Veritas.
Actually, the last little callback to the Corbin section I'll say is Camlin is becoming a larger and larger character throughout this novel. He's becoming a bit of the de facto leader alongside Hallian. He's guiding Dath as a mentor. He's just turns into a pretty good, wholehearted, like wholesome guy.
He has a lot of folksy wisdom, some hard-earned wisdom from the Darkwood.
From sleeping in the woods all those years, murdering folk.
Yeah, well, yeah, he continues murdering. He's teaching people how to be better at that. But Camlin is a total star of this book. I loved Camlin. Yeah. I'm glad he's like fully in the mix now.
He's S tier for me, I think, alongside Veritas.
Yeah, completely agree. And he sort of does have like this inner monologue where he's like, why am I defending these people? Like, I don't know them, but
yeah, he's like, I could easily just run away and ditch them, but I like kind of believe in this cause now, and I like my friends.
These are my friends.
It's kind of sweet.
He has like genuine friends for the first time instead of like his Darkwood bandits who are just there to not die. Well, I guess that's sort of what this group is doing too, but whatever. These people are nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Veritas. We don't really get that much movement from Veritas here. Like, to call back to something that we discussed in Malice, we were sort of talking about whether there's going to be a break between Veritas and Nether at some point, because Veritas seems to have a conscience and Nether doesn't. I feel like that got sped up in a way that I wasn't expecting, because like right from the jump, we have Veritas sort of sniffing that something was wrong with the fight at the end of Malice, and that, you know, why is Castell dead? Where's McCann? Like, why is Jail fine and no one else is fine?
Yeah.
You know, he's picking up on that and seems to not be cool with it, and like has words for Calidus about it. So it's interesting.
Yeah, you can tell that even though he's like very committed and loyal to his blood homie Nether, like he's never been a fan of like killing people for killing people. Mm-hmm. Even though he kills a lot of people, including the king, who was just kind of chatting shit in book 1. Yeah. So Veritas isn't all innocent in this whole, you know, he doesn't get to wear the halo. But yeah, it's definitely sus when his friend gets absolutely murdered and then they steal the axe. Like that's totally sus.
Yeah. And then right after that, like he gets enlisted into killing a bunch of giant children.
Such a sad scene.
Yeah, that was terrible, because you do get some background, like they don't reproduce that much. Like the children are very precious, and
then we learn by the end of the book that these giants are living potentially 2,000 years, and so
yeah, I didn't include that in the recap, but we did find out that Uthis very long lived, which we knew, but that's because he drank from the cup.
Well, and all that being said, it makes it so much sadder. It's like, you know, when we think about like a legal settlement for somebody who gets injured as like a kid, I don't know why I'm saying this, but when somebody gets injured as a kid, you're like, well, think about all those future earnings that they're losing out on.
Oh my God. What are the future earnings of these giant children?
2,000 years. Yeah,
there should be a cash settlement for their families.
I know. Let's become giant tort law.
Yeah. We'll set up some trusts, skim off the top of those. And then other Veritas stuff, there seems to be some simmering possible tension between Veritas and his dad and Nether and the Vinthalan. So
his dad was very much allied with Nether's father, and is, I think, bordering on one of those Big Mike allies, where he's part of that larger coalition of people that is there to protect the world. And so he's not too proud of his son.
And he has not been sending wood to the Vinthalen to help build their new fleet. The Vinthalen who used to raid and pillage his country.
Shocker.
And are now running slave fighting pits all across the land. So Nether's not cool with it, and Nether is so shitty, man. I don't get why. Like, I know that Veritas made a blood oath, but my God, and then not only does he like indicate that Veritas might have to go like kill his dad, but then he just keeps like assigning Veritas to garbage.
Yeah,
like he won't let Veritas do what he wants to do, which is protect Nether. He keeps sending him to do like nasty cleanup work for other people.
Yeah, it's really weird. And I wonder psychologically at a deep level if Nether knows he's the Black Sun and therefore is pushing Veritas away so he doesn't see him slowly fall to the dark side.
Yeah, I'm open to that. Like that he thinks Veritas is like has too much of a conscience and he wants to keep him away from the nastiest stuff that's going to go on.
You know what I kind of think it is? It's like worm tongue or whatever. Like it's Calidus whispering in his ear. So they're kind of like, oh, Veritas, like you should use Veritas in other places. We have you covered here. Like I think it's this kind of like evil right hand man advisor that's pushing him away because he does know that he has a conscience. Like it's probably the biggest threat to Nether.
Yeah, that's a good call. But yeah, I think that more or less covers Veritas for a big character. It's not too much that I want to discuss about his stuff in this section.
Yeah, I mean, I think wrapping up that crisis of confidence and morality is just, after the murder when they're escaping from basically the caves with Orgul and the little squad that's running away after seeing Castle get killed. He lets them go, which is, he lies to Alcyon and Calidus and to Nether, which is a pretty pivotal thing. Like that's kind of the first time his actions have really broken with his alignment. Yeah.
So one thing that did annoy me about Veritas' arc here was that we get that, and like Veritas is sort of rightly perceiving that something is sort of wrong with his general team. But then he's talking to Nether and he's getting the lowdown on Corbin, and they say, okay, we think we know who the Black Sun is. It's this guy. And he pieces together that Gar killed his good friend Rauka. And then it turns into another revenge plot where Veritas is like, well, I got to go kill Corbin because he killed this guy who was fucking barely in the book. It's just, I don't think other people would have this reaction, but to me, it just seemed like Veritas needed a way to sort of reintegrate with Team Nether because he was.
Yeah, it's projecting. It's the classic breakup projection, right? It's like, well, I could get mad at the really big thorny problem that's immediately in front of me, or I could get mad at that guy who's 2,000 miles away.
Yeah,
I can't fight back in my mind.
14-year-old who's being chased by every soldier in the world.
But yeah, Veritas, he's thinking. He's deep in thought.
He's trying to think. And then, well, John Gwynne heard our comments, and guess what? Cohen, female character.
Female POV character. One of multiple female POV characters in this book, crushing it. Bechtel test be damned. Is it Bechtel or Bechtel? I can't remember.
I think it's Bechtel.
Yeah. I've been mispronouncing that for 10 years.
Well, anyways, she's Cohening all over everybody. She's just trying to kill grown men with her little knives, and
she's pretty funny.
Man. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. She insults everybody to their face.
Yeah.
Somehow has like an immunity around her where nobody kills her.
No.
Despite trying to like assassinate everyone.
That is very funny. Doesn't have a lot of success doing that, but I guess she like harms people.
Yeah, I think they recognize she's like, oh, she can throw some knives. Like she's pretty dangerous.
She's about it.
Yeah. But she kind of has this, I mean, I would say will they won't they with Connell, but they fucking hate each other.
They do. Yeah, she's tried to kill him.
Yeah, and he is pretty much like, I would love to kill you. But
yeah. Yeah, she has a rough go of it in this initial section. She's like a trooper or whatever, but I mean, when we pick her up, she's sort of like, trying to get her bearings in Dunkerque. The place was just sacked. She finds her dad's dead body with like the dog standing guard over it, rescues the dog, has no clue where her mother and Corbin are, or she doesn't know if they're alive, right, what the deal is. And then she just like has to go back home and start trying to live life and work her job, and which is what anyone would do, right? Like it's right, what she has to do, but incredibly shitty. God.
Yeah, you kind of forget, like, when your city gets conquered and the ruler changes, you're just part of that fiefdom. Like you don't get to just opt out of the new society. And so she goes back to being the stable hand basically for the soldiers that murdered her family, and she has to give like Corbin's horse to somebody else, and I know that it
wasn't supposed to be funny, but when she was like mad at people for writing Shield, I really found that amusing. Like she was like they're cheating on Corbin or something.
Shield is I have so many more thoughts on Shield throughout this book.
It's so funny because she's like projecting. She's like, "How dare you sit where he sat? How dare you ride Shield?"
And this guy's like, "Nice horse. Can I borrow it for the day?"
And Shield is definitely like, "Fuck yeah, give me some oats." Like has no clue that anything is amiss.
Yeah.
So nice that people are writing me all the time. Not.
Yeah. But it does kind of suck because she keeps getting called to Nathair. Like I think he might kind of have the hots for her in one sense, but also Calidus is like super invested in her because he's trying to track Corbin, kind of like through her connection to him, and also like he wants to hear the gossip about Big Mike and Gar and like who the hell this Jahar guy was cutting up his men and stuff like that. So you get that tension. Yeah,
we get some interesting uses of magic sort of through Cohen's plot line. We talked about it in the summary, but Nathair seems to be able to do some sort of like compulsion or mind control or whatever it is. He uses it on Cohen and he uses it on Evnus. So I don't know where that came from, but it seems pretty powerful.
It does feel sort of like some sort of channeling because, sometimes they'll have that voice that pops up that's assumedly, evil god.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think that was my kind of assumption. Then you also get Calidus, who can kind of just think really hard and find out where people are.
Yeah. Well, we do. That's the next one I was going to talk about, because they do ask Cohen, though, for like a piece of Corbin's clothing or something like that. And he's able to like bloodhound it, I'm assuming, through the other world and figure out where.
Yeah, which it becomes thematic because Alcyon is also like, you don't want to see what he can do with more body parts. Which is a terrifying harbinger of the Lycos and Fidele situation.
Yikes. I don't know how much. It feels like there's a lot of ground to be covered later in the book with Lycos.
Yeah, we have I think it's just a small intro section for them in a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I think the other interesting point of the Cohen harem, for lack of a better word, is Samur, who's the Jahar that follows Nathair. Mm-hmm. Is like, yo, what the fuck was Gar doing there? Like, everything's wrong.
We went to high school together.
Yeah, it's basically like seeing your childhood like sports rival on the other team.
And then as far as just other Cohen plot points, she goes in the secret tunnel, finds another secret tunnel, and as maybe redemption for you, there's a drawing on the wall. I think we might have dragons in this world. There was some sort of creature, and I think it was like winged or something. I want to see what that is.
I thought about it. I got excited. I think it's a Ben Elam.
Ah, fuck. As I was saying this, that thought occurred to me.
Yeah. But if it's dragons, I'm going to crap my pants. I was excited.
I would like there to be dragons.
Yeah, why not, man? Throw them in there.
Yeah. I'm wondering, this is very much a tangent, but I'm wondering if this is one of those things where like, it's not that the giants are giant. The giants are normal sized and the humans are tiny. What's up with all the giants and all the large animals that are perhaps giant sized, and the humans came to the banished lands from elsewhere? Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
What the fuck? I can think of a notable fantasy series where this was a huge plot point.
I mean, it was, yes, the invading Earth from alien civilizations.
So you don't think that's an interesting line of thought
I think it's an interesting line of thought. I think it's a fun thought experiment.
that the humans aren't native to the banished lands and they're actually tiny and everything else is appropriately sized for the banished land?
I mean, the funny thing is they do call them the banished lands. So there's like a world of thought where, they got sent there from somewhere.
From where? Where are the nice lands?
From where? Oh man, speaking of the banished lands, give me some like monuments.
Dog, I'm hurting. Do you want to do this spiel about our complaint here?
I'll do a short one because I think we'll get into it a bit later. But there are two scenery descriptions in this book.
Yeah.
A rolling plains that meets a wood line, like the line of a wood, and a random castle settlement.
Yeah.
And those are the two options.
That's totally it. And we were talking about this because this is a series that, like, to the extent that people don't like it, it's usually because it's perceived as like tropey or not particularly original or like adding much to the formula. And we were sort of saying maybe this is why, is that there's nothing like visually very distinct about it. I mean, gosh, compare it to like some of the other series. Like it's totally unfair to be like, this isn't like Lightbringer or something, because that sort of is the whole point of Lightbringer. But it's, dude, like what does Dunkirk even look like? Like, is it a city? Like, is it a ring? Is it a castle with walls around it and then people live inside the wall? Like, what is it?
I mean, I think it's just like it's like a keep in a castle and then like some small village around it.
Like, what is there?
But then part of me is like, yeah, to your point, it's like it's kind of unfair because like you read like Jade City, you read Malazan, you have these like sprawling city urban landscapes that have tons of passageways and neighborhoods and like interesting buildings, or even like Mistborn has towers and it has but all of that's set in a different time in a different place. And this is kind of like, I'm imagining like 1210 Norway, where it's like, the biggest building was probably like the 4 castles in a 400-mile span.
Yeah, I think that would be the excuse here, is that he is trying to set it like, if fantasy generally is from like 900 to 1600, he's setting it way closer to 900. And, like this is the Dark Ages or whatever.
Yeah, right. We're not poking around with guns or electricity in this.
Yeah. But man, I mean, if you think even about like the Wheel of Time isn't like this like incredibly original. It's sort of like a sword and sorcery type of thing. And
oh, okay. I feel more validated in my complaint now because I just remembered that they have those stone monuments sitting in random fields that turn into blood.
Yeah.
And we talked about that once. Like, I feel like, okay, if you're going to introduce that as a major plot point, hey, maybe we get back to it in book 3 and 4 as like passageways or something. But yeah, throw us a bone of some interesting scenery, please.
Yeah, or at least just like do a better job of developing the places that we're visiting, because we've been like pretty much everywhere on the map at this point, and nothing feels particularly distinct. It's just like done, fill in the blank is like the keep. And I mean, think about
except Dressel. Dressel is kind of the only cool one.
Dressel's sick, but yeah, but you think about like when they're like on the road in Wheel of Time, you go to like Tyr and Kyrie and all these places.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just one city versus another city, but there's always like something distinct about it that you can remember, like to make it different than the other ones. And that is just not the case in these books thus far. So maybe that'll change.
Is there any other major plots? The only one of the ones that comes to mind is just that, Fidele is running kind of the capital city while Mather's gone, and she just generally hates the Venthalin. Lycos is just lying to her. He's kind of like assassinating people that she's trying to turn as spies or informants and stuff, and is very clearly propping up an underground gladiatorial bloodbath.
Yeah, and they break one up actually at sort of the end of this section, and there's like an ugly scene where Fidel learned about these from an informant, and then Lycos sniffs out who the informant was and kills him and sinks the body, which doesn't actually work, which is kind of funny. The body is eventually found, but more to come on the Venthalin fighting pits, to say the least.
Yeah, I think the one thing I'll say is like I kind of wanted to have Lycos be a cool guy from book 1. Like he was this pirate king, and it's like maybe he's little Johnny Depp, running in here, kind of funny pirate guy. has some super cool fighting style. He's just an asshole.
It is funny going back to book one because Theo's like, well, give the Vinthalen a chance. And turns out everyone else was right. They're horrible. They are just like, yeah, there's no shades of gray. They're just evil, terrible people.
Yeah, and it's Calidus's friends,
Yeah.
You let them spend the night after the house party and, they pee on your carpet.
God, that's like my cat.
Carrots.
Is that all? Anything else?
I think that's the big plot. I think we've kind of caught up on the major POVs. If we miss one, we'll take it back to its origin in section 2.
Pick it up. I think we're gonna do like a big section 2, and try to have an episode that's really focused on the last 100 pages of the book.
Yeah, the Sanderlanche.
Sanderlanche. We got a Gwynne Lanche, as they say.
A Gwynne storm.
The Gwynne's. Oh, that's nice. We really did. So yeah, we'll be back 2 more episodes on Valor, and that's all.
Any rating for this section?
I need to put myself in the mindset of like where I was when I finished.
Fresh-faced, innocent, naive.
I would say that we read this right after the ice schooner, and I was really happy to be reading a book that wasn't horrendous.
I do remember us texting and being like, "Holy crap! It feels good to read something real again."
It's like when you take ice skates off and put on normal shoes.
Yeah, or like take your ski boots off.
It's like when you have normal food after only eating whale steak for several years.
It's the first crap after your trough of meat and gravy.
Guacamole. Oh, one final note. They got FaceTime now. They got Cauldron FaceTime.
Oh my God, that part was great.
Did you like that, or did you think I was dumb?
Well, considering they did nothing with the magic system and then threw in FaceTime out of nowhere, I think we could have maybe built up to that a little bit.
It was really funny because you were getting all these hints early on that people were able to like pass information somehow. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. How are they doing it? And it turns out it was just fucking Cauldron FaceTime. But
except for the other 80% of the time in which it's crows.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got a new bird. New bird alert.
Bird up.
Hello.
Yeah, bird fact.
Yeah, we got fetches in the game.
I'm gonna go ahead and give this section like a 7.8,
Yeah.
For the time when I read it, I was enjoying it. It pushed the plot along nicely. I didn't know where we were going, but there was some like important stuff happening. And I love John Gwynn's writing style. It's like he keeps it going, keeps it fun.
Yeah. I think I would settle like exactly there. 7.8, 7.9, somewhere around there. We'll see how that changes in the middle chunk.
I'm excited. Well, we will be back in roughly 1 week on your
hiatus.
No delays.
Unless Travis rereads The Ice Schooner, in which case this might be the last episode.
In which case I'll never read again in my life. But it's a pleasure, Avery. Always fun.
All right. Truth and courage, my shield brother.
Truth and courage.